guys, welcome to Out With It. And today I'm in conversation with a young yet fierce poet. She truly knows the art of making people feel. With her new collection of confessional love poems, Every Beautiful Pen Bleeds Through, she's here to take us on a journey of writing poems. Presenting to you Shandela Contreras.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just came back from work and finished up this party that we had for one of our members who passed away at the Senior Citizen Center. But today has been good beyond that. It was nice to celebrate her.
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah. How's it working at the Senior Center?
It's genuinely amazing. Like I started working there fresh out of high school, freshman year of college. And I started off as like a digital tech help for the seniors. And then my boss was like, do you want to teach a class here? And I was like, yes, I do. And he was like, write up a proposal because I know you're majoring in creative writing. And I was like, yes, I'm going to teach a creative writing class there. So I wrote up a proposal to my boss and he was like, this is an amazing proposal. And he was like, you can start the inaugural creative writing class for senior citizens. And I was like so happy because, you know, I genuinely believe the voices of the past shape the voices of the future. So
I read that in your book.
That's my motto.
I love that.
That's my motto. I genuinely believe that. So I was happy to get that started.
That's so nice. Oh my God. I also feel like the journey of life, according to me, is when you're born, you're dependent on your parents. Yes. And then there comes a point in age where you're, of course, dependent on younger people. It's kind of like a reverse thing, like a full circle moment.
Exactly. It's a reciprocal relationship.
It is.
Yeah.
And I love it. I think also just talking to that age group just gives you so much wisdom. Yes. It's really nice being surrounded by people who've seen life.
Yes, exactly. No, it really is. I learned so much from them. When I first started there, I was 17 years old because, you know, I'm a summer baby, so my birthday wasn't yet. Yeah. And they were for me, I was intimidated because I was like, I'm going to teach people who have already lived through life. What am I going to bring to them? That was the question I was asking myself. But they didn't care about my age. They never asked. And when they learned how old I was, they were like, no way, you were 17 when you started. I was like, yes, I was. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So then you've been working there for a while.
A while, yeah. Yeah, it's been 3.5 years now. Wow. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Almost my whole college journey, I've been working at the Senior Citizen Center.
It's growing two different parallel lives.
Yes, exactly.
That's great. But before we get more into your writing specifically, I do want people who are watching this to get a little bit more background about you, like how you grew up, where you're from, how basically you were shaped before you started writing.
Yes, so I grew up in South Los Angeles. So my home is right by USC. So and my elementary school probably 6-7 minutes away from USC. Wow. Yeah.
Same area.
So I feel like elementary school shaped me as a person. It shaped my writing, of course, but just me as a person. Some friends that I've developed, I've had since preschool. There are two friends that I have, Anthony and Litzy. I've been friends with them since we were 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
We went to the same elementary school, same high school, and now USC together graduating. Yeah, my whole life.
We got into USC with you. Wow, that's amazing.
With me. And you know, friends are people that shape you, you know, beyond your parents and your family. Friendships are the things that hold close to you. And that's why a lot of my writing, not to talk about the writing, but writing consumes me. Of course. A lot of my writing, it's, you know, it has a lot about my friendships in it. And it's just because I feel like I'm shaped by them and them including my family. So yes, Menlo is where I started off. My teachers and my friends, they always gave me good memories, and I always wanted to tell stories from the memories that I had with them. So Menlo definitely shaped me. And then in 5th grade, there was this program called the NAI program, the Neighborhood Academic Initiative program. The director at the time, who's still leading the program now, Dr. Lizette Zarate, she came to Menlo like when I was in 5th grade, and my mom was working there because my mom worked at the school that I was at because she wanted to be close to me and my friends. So she came to this presentation, and since my mom already worked there, she was like, I'm going to go to the presentation too. And they were presenting about a 7-year collegiate preparatory program.
Okay.
Where we go through these 7 years with like this cohort of students. And then at the end of it, if we do get accepted to USC, we get a full ride academic scholarship. Wow. And that was in 5th grade. So in 5th grade,
That's
I already...
early to even decide.
Right?
Oh
no,
my God.
right. It's, 10 years old.
Yes.
But, that the program's been amazing.
Okay.
They've helped shape me too. I mean, Dr. Zarate and just the whole staff of NAI, truly, I felt like I wouldn't be where I am today, of course, if it wasn't for them. But deciding that you want to go to college at 10 years old, it's a big... It's
daunting.
And it started right there because we had to, complete this application.
Yeah.
And then we went to the high school that I went to. It's a junior high and high school.
Okay.
It's a K through 12, actually, called Fauché Learning Center. And the journey of college started right there in 5th grade and continued on like since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You committed to USC at the age of 10.
Yes. Exactly.
That's
exactly.
amazing.
Exactly. I did.
But at what time did you realize that you wanted to be a poet?
In 3rd grade.
Oh, wow.
In 3rd grade, yes. At the time, I started off at Menlo from preschool to 1st grade. And then I went to a different elementary school, Edward James Jones Primary Center. Then I went to a different elementary school and had to come back to Menlo in 3rd grade because Menlo was home.
Right.
And so at Menlo, I had this 3rd grade teacher, Miss France. She gave us this like prompt to just write about the journey of a river. And, I was always creative and I loved to like tell stories, and I didn't like how like regular narrative like writing, it had to have a beginning and the end. I felt like things don't need to have a beginning and the end. Like sometimes people just start right in the middle.
It doesn't have to be linear.
Exactly.
Sure.
So I was like, and I'm sure the journey of a river, it's not, linear.
I mean,
it is linear in a way, but it begins and it never ends.
Yeah.
So you don't even know where the start is.
Yes.
So I was like, I'm going to tell the life of a river through a poem. And that's essentially what I did. The poem was called The Life of a River. And it was, I wish I had like this poem now, but I know Miss France, she still has it. And she left too. So I have no way of contacting her.
Oh my God, the first poem you ever wrote.
Yes.
Wow.
It was The Life of a River. And it was, just the journey of how a river, they take in, the nutrients and the minerals of the world, and they just continue flowing. I was like, that's life and that's poetry. It's a way for us to let out our story, and then a reader, once they read that poem, they can connect to it in some way and grasp onto it and continue this journey with you as the writer, the poet that's writing it. Yeah. So it started from there, but I think I did write a poem in 2nd grade actually, and it was a poem for my late grandfather for Father's Day, and it was a very simple poem, like Happy Father's Day, thank you for riding our bikes to school every day. It was like this silly,
that's so cute.
Yeah. It was a silly little poem that I wrote for my grandfather, but I've always been enamored with poetry.
That's lovely.
Yes.
Have you ever thought of writing novels or books, or does poetry speak to you differently?
I actually have thought of writing novels and like books. Well, like, I think I do want to write fiction, but maybe later on in my writing career. Right. I definitely think I would write a memoir before I wrote a fictional story.
Of course.
Just because I just love autobiographical stuff. Like I love writing, And it's not in like a big ego type of way. Like I love writing about myself. No, it's like I love writing about myself so that someone else can discover who they are through me and my experiences. That's really what it is.
I think there's also a sense of originality when somebody reads your work.
Yeah.
You can tell that this is not made up.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it is, you can relate to it because it's reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think I have read a bunch of books which aren't necessarily fiction, but you can still tell that a lot of things have been added for dramatic effects, which is part of writing.
Right.
I think, of course, long form, not everything can be about you.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, I think those parts are very easy to know which one's real, which one's not.
Exactly, yeah.
But honestly commendable, because I did go through your recent book and there were certain poems where I had to take a step back and really think that if this did happen in reality, this is very, very emotional to read. And I love the fact that you're so raw.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's genuinely with the new collection, that's what I wanted to give off. Just this, rawness and honesty, just truth that I think a lot of people are missing sometimes in writers. They're like, I just want to know who you are. Like, I want to dissect you. And, writers, they're trying so much to shield themselves, like, from the audience a little bit just to create that space. But I want us to be so close to each other. Like, I want you to get to know me as a person.
I love that we're doing the podcast actually following the book, because there are two mediums to get to know each other.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. But how long did you work on this book for?
I want to say like a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
A year and a half, yeah. Like with poetry, it's definitely a writing practice that you take day by day. Sometimes you get the whole poem out like in a day, but sometimes you get 3 lines, and it's like, that's good enough.
That's okay.
That's good enough for today.
And some days maybe you don't get anything. That's also fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes all you just get is an experience, and then you're like, I'm gonna write about it in
later.
2 days or in a week. Yes.
Totally fair. But I genuinely want to know from you, like somebody who's starting out and really enjoys writing, but is maybe not seasoned enough to be able to put it out there. Or the flip side of it, where they know that they can write, but are scared of putting their stuff out. What would you tell them?
I would tell them to write a poem that they want to give to someone that they love. Because I think as soon as you start writing poetry that stems away from just this like notion to hide it, I think once you say, okay, I'm going to write this poem for my mom, and your mom's going to accept that poetry, because that's how moms are. They're going to be like, I love this so much. But I think just getting that affirmation and appreciation from someone that who's not going to let you down, and then you say, okay, I think it's time to go to an open mic or something that they have. In LA they have big poetry scenes, but just wherever you are, I think just taking that first step of writing for someone where they don't even have to read it out loud, but they're holding a piece of your work. And then I think that helps you break away out of the shell just a little bit. And then I think just for me as a student, it's like, okay, I can go to school, but I think just looking out, doing research on different websites about poetry scenes in like your area, I think that's a good like ground to get off of, just like looking, to see.
And in terms of writing routine, do you have one?
I do. So I always write at nighttime.
Okay.
Just because I love the quiet of the night. I think writing when the world is sleeping is just a way for you to, hone in on your thoughts and your feelings, because, with all this chaos of the day, and I'm talking about beyond just, cars passing by or trains, just like the noise of the media and the world, just taking time to like write at nighttime, that's what I find. I always write, and I say I write around like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So finding that time to write at nighttime, I think it's a good practice.
Yeah.
Because I think listening to yourself and, hearing your own voice, it's a huge part of poetry because you want to love what you put on paper. Yes. And I think it's finding your voice when the whole world is on mute.
I agree.
Yes, that's the perfect time. And that's what I do personally.
I totally agree with you actually on that, because I feel like I can't wake up early in the morning. I'm totally a night owl. Yeah. Everything I need to do, I do it at night. Like even if I go out, hang out with friends or have something planned out for dinner or something at night, I will still, even if I come back home at 3 a.m., I will need those 2 hours alone. Yes. Whatever I need to do, even if not work, just sit for 2 hours with myself.
With yourself.
And then go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because I think that time is really important for you to be with yourself. And I think a lot of people struggle with the idea of being alone. And obviously everyone has their own experiences as to why that is there. But I think being alone is a very strong and powerful feeling.
It is strong. And it's hard to get there. Like even for me, I think when I was younger, I never wanted to be by myself. I'm like, I need to be out with, friends or go on like play dates with people. But I think when I realized that I was never really alone, like I had poetry, honestly, I had my notebook, I had a journal. So I had a relationship with myself. And I think that's what it is. It's building that relationship with yourself. So you realize you're never really like alone. You have something, and sometimes it's yourself in your words. Yeah,
it is. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have two. I'm the baby of the family. I have two siblings. Yeah. I have an older sister who's in her 30s, and then me and my brother were 2 years apart.
Okay. I'm a single child. So I think partly because of why I talk about loneliness differently is because of that. When you're born alone, you've lived your early childhood, not necessarily alone because I had my parents.
Right.
But even then, I think you have to somewhere be very comfortable with being with yourself.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I could play with myself when I was really young.
That's
tiny things,
amazing.
Yeah, like just, because there's not always going to be there somebody with you.
That's true.
Holding your hand. So
that's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. I mean, like my mom has this very, I want to say it's like a morbid phrase, but you're born alone, you die alone. Yeah. No, yeah, exactly.
For sure. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And adding to that same phrase, there's this whole thing, right? Like you're born with no money and then you die with no money.
Yeah. No, I love that because I feel like I'm the type of person, I will give money. Like I think I got this from my mom truly, because she would give her last paycheck to like if someone was facing housing insecurity, she would give that person on the street that money. She would do it. Yeah. And I know I would do that too, because money's not, it's paper. And you do need it to survive, but I genuinely think I would just give it away, because you don't die with the materialistic things.
Definitely not. But segueing that actually to writing, how do you think somebody who's starting off and worries about money when it comes to writing should know about it? Like, one, obviously getting a publisher is tough. Yeah. And once you do publish, there's possibility of your book not working. Yeah. So how would you explain that dynamic to somebody starting off?
I think even myself, sometimes I'm struggling with that, because I know that writing, it's not this big money grab. It's hard because you want your story to be out there, but also you want some monetary gain for it to live. Yeah. And that's writing for me. It is a hobby, but it's not really it's genuinely what I want to do for the rest of my life. But I also have the job at the Senior Citizen Center, and it's finding ways to work writing into other jobs.
Yes.
So that's why, working at the Senior Citizen Center, having an opportunity to create that creative writing class, I'm still having a chance to write and, gain and, gather stories from other people. So I think it's, finding other opportunities to look for other writing work and other writing occupations. But I want to say that, for the traditional publishing side, you don't need a traditional publisher. You can self-publish.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, great tools to do that. Amazon, KDP, there's Ingram Sparks. There's so many self-publishing tools where you don't need a lot of money to get your work out there. And I think that's the most important part, just getting your words out there and trusting that there are people who want to read what you have to say. But it's also not being afraid to, tell the person on the bus that, hey, I have a book. Do you want to read it? It's, you have to be open to talking about your work and, just trusting that what you wrote is something that people would want to hear. And I believe that everything, that anyone can be a writer, but you have to put yourself out there and let people know that you have work that deserves to be heard.
I agree. I completely agree. I think it's an artistic journey. Everyone has their own journey.
Yes.
And also I do believe that there's no age foundation to it.
No.
Right?
No.
You started early because you knew that you were interested in it.
Yes.
But a lot of people I know get introduced to poetry or books much later in life.
Yes.
And that's okay. You could have experiences at the age of 40.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's totally fair. Honestly, very honestly, I don't say this quite often, but I do have a dream of writing a book at some point.
Oh my gosh, and you should.
I will.
You should.
I definitely will. The day I know that this is what I want to write about, I will write it.
I'm so happy to hear that. Genuinely, I think that's why I love poetry so much, because I think it just mimics life so much. Just the fact that you said that someone can write at 40, that's what I like. That's what I mean by poetry. It has this, media rest where you can start in the middle of the journey, with poetry. And I think that's life. You can start anywhere in life. And I truly believe that you can do anything you set your heart out to do. So, I think you're going to write that book. And whenever you write it, I will be the first person literally to buy it.
Thank you.
Because I do think there's a story in everyone. There's a story in everyone.
Agreed.
I do think anyone can be a writer.
I agree. I completely agree. The series we're doing, it's called Art of Something, right? So every single person we bring on, we don't confine them to certain conformities of what art could be. Even being a lawyer is an art, or business is an art, or writer is an art. So it's exactly that. You have the art of making people feel something, which I think is a very, very strong skill, honestly. But I want to go back to your book now. Tell me one poem do you have one which is very close to your heart, or you think this is something that I was so happy writing?
That's so difficult, because I feel with all of the poems I had that. A poem that I felt was difficult writing.
Do you want the book?
I think, yes. Let me see. Let me browse through this little book here. Let me see. I think there's this poem that's called I'm So Proud of You. And I wrote it because I've always told my friends that I always felt so iffy about people who said that they were proud of me but didn't really know me. And it's not that I was oh my gosh, you don't know me, don't say I'm so proud of you. But it was more I felt if you hadn't necessarily been through the journey with me, through the hardships, that you didn't necessarily have a position to say that you were proud of me. So the poem, it kind of talks about just the people, I guess, who have the proud of you card. But what I was really trying to get out of it is that I was happy for the people actually who couldn't say that they were proud of me, because they didn't get to see the hardships, and I just want them to see the joy of who I am now. And that's what the poem was really about. And I think that it could have been misinterpreted where I'm like, I don't like when people say I'm so proud of you. But no, I think it's genuinely having gratitude and showing appreciation for people who couldn't say it, and also appreciation for people who could say it too. And I think that poem, it was kind of difficult for me to write because I wanted to get that message across. And I think I did get it across.
Can we do a quick reading of it?
I can, yes, of course. Okay. There we go. So, I'm so proud of you is reserved for my mom and maybe Anthony after I activate my turn signal, make a move into the right lane because I know I can fit now between a moving bus and car, that my eyes don't deceive me, my perception is not clouded of things I cannot see, where they're further or closer in proximity, between the set list of the Grammy Award-winning choir, between line and a composition book, the words no longer big to expand across two spaces. Between the seat in an 11-long plane flight, I know my place, that I'm able to take up space no matter how many miles across the Atlantic. Even if the French struggles to escape my throat, struggles to open, my tonsils are blocked, my stomach is being checked in the ER, and Lucas is holding my hand. At 1 a.m., after a week of being with youth from my hometown, in a sight I haven't seen in over a decade, where I cried before I rode a horse for the first time because the saddle was too high and I was scared I would fall. Even that horse can be proud because they've seen the tears and slime run from my face and showed me not to worry, that they've got me and they won't let me fall, crash, waited for me to live fully. And that's the pride. And not saying you cannot be proud of a person you've seen grown, but just that even if you do not know what exactly made them grow, if you didn't pour the water, put them in a brighter place, fed them anything to make them into who they are today, your pride should be more joy. And I'm so joyful for you that you got to see the happiness instead.
I love that.
Yes.
Absolutely love that.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I think, yeah. So I was definitely trying to, just capture that I'm just joyful that these people who probably can't be proud of me, but they can be happy for me, that I'm in this space where, I'm feeling this joy and I want them to feel that joy too. Yeah. But there are people that do get to be proud of me and I want to show gratitude to them. Yeah.
I love that because you did bring that message across.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm really glad.
It was in no way felt like you're trying to say that, oh, you cannot be proud of me because you haven't seen certain parts of my life.
Yeah.
But it's very well written.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I love it. I also read this other one the other day, which I was really interested to know more about.
Oh, yes, of course.
This one. Is this love?
Yes. So there's, oh my gosh. And wow, now I'm blanking out on the artist, but it's okay. But there's this song. Oh no, Bob Marley, of course.
Yeah.
It's like goes, is this love? Is this love that I'm feeling? Yeah, that song. So it was like trying to create that cadence of that song.
It's lyrical, like I can tell.
I'm glad.
It flows off your tongue.
Yes.
Because I think there's two types of people, right? One who can hear themselves and the others who cannot hear the voice inside their head.
Yes.
And I'm the person who can, every time I read, I can hear it playing in my head. So I can tell when it's really lyrical.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. But I also wanted to know, like, specifically about this. I love how you, like, have two different sides of love in certain ones, where you talk about love for someone, but also just talking about love from the feeling of the person feeling it.
Yes.
But not necessarily having to share it with somebody. It could be just your own love.
Yes.
Felt for someone else.
Yes.
But was that what you were trying to get across?
It was.
Okay.
It was. I was with that poem, I love that poem, by the way. I was trying to explore the love that I was feeling for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was realizing that they were making me feel love for myself.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to grasp through that poem, you know, just the journey that I've had with this poem. It's like, well, this person, you know, pulling and like tugging me. And I'm like, like, I think I was like falling in love with this person. Then I'm like, wait, I'm also falling in love with myself. And I think that's a big part of love. It's, you know, you're trying to, you know, learn about whoever, you know, you fall in love with. But I think if you don't fall in love with yourself, I don't think you're experiencing love, because the person who you're with should make you feel love for yourself. And that's what that person was doing. And that poem, I love that poem because it was rough for me to write about that person. I was trying to, you know, figure out like, how can I capture who this person is to me? And I was like, I don't know how to do it. Like, I didn't know how to do it. And I was like, wait, let me talk about how they're making me fall in love with myself. And that's how I'm going to write their love poem. Yeah. And I think I did it well.
Yes, I think you did.
Okay, that's good.
I think you did, definitely. But there were also like this one specific one I read actually today morning. I think it was the park with no roof. Oh my God. And I was like, this is very interesting poem to be put with the rest of the lot. Because it's about being scared. It's about being faced with a very uncomfortable situation.
Yes.
And sadly to say, this happens to, I think every single person you'll meet will have had it happened at least once in their life.
Yes.
But that was rough to read. And do you want to talk about it? Where was it?
Yeah. So I was at a park with my friend, and we were, this was during the pandemic too.
Okay.
We were in, senior year, 12th grade. And, you know, you just want to have fun with your friends. You just want to go to the park. I remember we got free pizza too, because we were like a part of this like core program, and it was actually pushing like urban teen readers more into literature. And we were doing it through our senior project sort of. And so we went to the park, and we had ordered free pizza. We were so happy. We were just laying down on a blanket. We had like a bunch of candy that we were eating. And then this guy comes up to us, you know, right off the train. And I'm already uncomfortable. You know, I'm sitting on the blanket. He sits on the blanket with us. And like, me and my friend, we're from South Los Angeles. So, you know, we're not scared of the community that we come from. But it was more so that this guy was making us uncomfortable. And then, you know, he pulled out just this, you know, object that made us run away. But he was just, you know, saying that, oh, you remind me of like my girlfriend, like from Santa Monica Beach, Aaliyah. And we know that he had some, you know, type of, you know, mental illness and was also just intoxicated as well. But the poem was also just trying to capture that. Also, I don't know if he had a mental illness, but I knew he was intoxicated. And it was just trying to capture that sometimes people who are intoxicated, they use that as a form of excuse, you know, but he had, you know, no right to pull out the object that he did and made us, you know, fearful. And my friend, he had to pretend that he was my boyfriend because he didn't want this guy to like hit on me, because that's what he was doing, like when he when he did that. And so the poem was just trying to grasp that sometimes, you know, we make excuses for people who are intoxicated for bad things that they do to us, and they make us fearful, and they don't get that pass.
Of course,
they don't get that pass.
And I want to mention something personal that I felt while reading it. Why I also picked this one specifically out is that's the story that you tried to portray in the poem, of course. But a part of me also felt like I was reading a toxic relationship with somebody who you could potentially be scared of, and you feel trapped within. Because you talk about being trapped. You talk about something that was really playful, nice, the trees, the park. But then how it completely taints your memory of that place. You're never going to look at it the same way.
Right.
And how this person gets a pass because he's drunk or because he's intoxicated by something else.
Yeah.
And that also makes me wonder about relationships where people stay in it, not knowing that this is just their body's reaction to trauma rather than it being love at all. So,
yeah, I mean, that's, and the park that we went to is Exposition Park.
Oh
just
my
to be,
God, right here,
and
yes.
you know, like I mentioned, we lived in this community, so I would go to Exposition Park when I was younger with my mom. So, you know, it's called The Park Has No Roof because you realize that you don't have shelter anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I think when you're younger, you're in this park with your mom, you know that she's always there to protect you. But when you're older, you know, you no longer have that protection and you're going out into the world by yourself and you're meeting friends, you're getting in relationships with people who, you know, you think that they're your safe haven, but then you realize that they're not. And you do feel trapped in this park, house, whatever. Place that you're situated in. And the poem could definitely be interpreted like that. I mean, that's what poetry is too. It's a way for you to, you know, get your own interpretations out of the poem because obviously no one's going to have that exact same experience as me, but I want them to make a reflection like you did about something that was in their life that, you know, was a place that you feel trapped in, but maybe you can break out of it. Because I feel like I'll never look at that park the same. I mean, I don't even go to that park anymore. And I think it's because of that situation, but also because I'm grown now. I don't need to go to a park
of course.
that much. But seeing that park for what it truly was at the time too, because I think we were trying so desperately to get away from our house and be open in a time that had everyone so closed into the pandemic.
Of course.
And that nice moment got ruined. But, you know, it just made me reflect that, you know, things were changing.
Yes.
And it's sometimes change is good.
Yeah.
So even like if you are in a relationship, I think once you come with that realization that change is possible, that you can break through out of that trauma, that toxic relationship, which I hope anyone who is in any situation like that can. I'm glad that that would be something that they can take out of that poem as well.
I really hope so. And I would definitely tell actually everybody watching this to definitely read this book because there's such different facets of love that we don't usually come across.
Yes.
And I was thinking about this. I was reading this book the other day, actually put it there. Everything I Know About Love. Have you read it?
I haven't. No, but I've heard of it. That sounds like everything I know. Like I'm gonna read that book.
Yes. It's actually a very different style of writing, of course. It's very like the author talks about her life in a very raw. It's kind of like you're reading her personal diary.
I love that.
Like
I love books like that.
I love it. The writing is super easy. And it talks about love for family, how she grows to understand what love is. And through her college life, college experiences, hookups, relationships, friends, family, all types of love. And while reading this, I realized that so many things that were captured in that are very similar to what you've captured here, but in two different lights.
Okay.
That's very lighthearted. It's not very serious.
Okay.
And this is more towards like it makes you feel something. Yeah. You should definitely read it.
I will. Yeah. I mean, I think I just love love. I think that's what it is. I think, you know, love is in everything. It's truly in everything. I mean, I started writing poetry out of love, love for words. And I think like if we realize that love it manifests in so much ways, it carries us.
It does.
And I think that's why I wanted to create specifically a confessional love collection, because I wanted to write about, love, but very different, because I know that, some love poems, when we were younger, roses are red, violets are blue. But I wanted to, of course, this is like a more mature form of, rhyming and poetry. But just stem away from love being something that has to be flowery. We experience love in so many different ways. But I love love, so I'm gonna definitely take a look at that book.
Definitely. Coming back to how you've written these books, how would you say your journey from your mellow ballads to this one has shifted as a writer?
Yes, tremendously. Like, I think sometimes I can't even look at mellow ballads and move your bones. I'm like, oh my gosh, people read this. No, I love it. I love all my poems. I do.
And I do believe simplicity is not bad.
Yeah.
It's definitely not bad.
No. And I think at that time, I just wanted to get my work out there. So it was senior year of high school. I was in this emerging writers fellowship program with this Get Lit organization, which is a nonprofit organization that caters to bringing poetry and literacy and the arts to teens from ages 13 to 19 years old. And they're this big organization that truly they have gifted so many young writers an opportunity to get their works out there. So those poems came out of that program, and it was just me needing to get my work out there. I'm like, I want to be a writer. I think I just need to publish a book. So, and like I was mentioning earlier, that's the kind of, fight that a writer needs in themselves. They just need to get their work out there. And that's what I wanted to do. I was like, get it out there. So at 17, I was like, I'm going to get my work out there. And so Mellow Ballads That Move Your Bones, it's a chapbook. And chapbooks, they're poetry collections that are smaller, between they could be between 20 to 40 pages. And it's just a small collection of different works that have themes of grief, love, and loss in them. So, which is also very similar to my confessional love collection, but love is the main string that strings everything. Yeah. And the chapbook had a little bit of everything in it. So I think writing every day really helped me cement my confessional love collection. Yeah. And, they're 3-4 years apart from each other. So I spent a lot of time trying to perfect, my craft, and realizing that there's different forms of poems that I could write in, because I want to say the confessional love collection is, experimental. There's, even poetry essays that are in it. And that's something that's not present in Mellow Ballads That Move Your Bones. So I was taking the 4 years to, instead of just, okay, I'm going to write in something and get my work out there, I'm going to perfect my work, make a more, thorough through line of a theme in my love collection. So I was just practicing every single day, and just being a part of USC. USC helped the USC community, the writing community. Being in the progressive degree program, I'm doing the master's in literary editing and publishing. Oh, okay. So there are professors that read my love collection, wrote a blurb for me, and they're best-selling novelists. So the fact that they're even reading my work, I think that just having a writing community, that's one thing. It makes a huge difference. You need people that love language and want to read, your work. You don't want, because that's the other thing too. When you give your poem to your mom, she just loves that you wrote her something. Yes. But building a writing community, even if it's 1 or 2 people, finding some people that, you know, love words and love writing, I think that's a big part of your practice.
It is. I agree. And I think I truly believe that could be applicable to everything.
Everything, yes.
Everything. Like even when I started podcasting, I think my whole idea was to build a community of people I can literally just show an idea to, or like show a piece of my episode to and ask, do you think this makes sense? Do you think this is gripping enough at all? What should I change about this frame? Or I think it's really important to take that opinion also, because if you show it to your friends or your, like you said, your mom, they will love everything you do.
Everything.
So everything's right.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
yes.
It's really important.
It really is. Like, and the thing too about my mom, she wrote poems in Belize back home. But a lot of her work was traditional poetry. So everything rhymed. So when she read my work, she was like, wow, this is incredible. Like, it's something she's never, you know, experienced, reading work that isn't rhyming, that's non-traditional, you know, free verse poetry. So her getting a chance to be exposed to different writing forms, it was special for me. Because I was like, I'm teaching someone who I admire because I consider her a poet too. I'm like, just because yours was traditional, you were still a poet. So I love reading my work to my mom too, even though she's like, everything's perfect. But having the writing community to tell you that, yeah, you need to fix this. You know, you can change this line, you know, move things around. It's so important.
It's very important. Yeah. I completely agree. Lastly, I want to talk about your Paris experience. You went for the Olympiad.
Yes, right? I did. I
want to also know the process of how you got selected for it.
Yes. So the city of Los Angeles, the cultural department, they put out a request for qualifications. So it was this like huge call to LA poets, spoken word artists, artists in general in Los Angeles. They were looking for, you know, just a community of writers to submit. And then they were going to select, I think it was 7 poets, but 8 poets came out of this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we don't know like the order of selection, but I just know that, of course, it was 8. But they put out the request for qualifications. I saw it and I was like, there's no way I'm going to be selected for this. Like, I've been in the poetry scene, the poetry community for so long that I was like, there are seasoned poets who they're going to get this opportunity. But I was just so delighted to get my work out there and just say that I did it. Yeah. I was going to show no fear. You know, I was like, I'm going to submit my work even if it's, you know, not Paris worthy. So I submitted the request for qualifications. You had to submit 3 poems that they could be on the theme of the connection between Paris and the United States, sports, and or art.
Okay.
So I submitted 3 poems that were on all of that. All of that together. And yeah, so I submitted that. You needed to submit a resume and a cover letter. I submitted that in April. And I think it was due May 9th. And yeah, so of course, if I submit so early, I have to wait until the deadline. Yeah. So I submitted, I believe, April 1st. And then I put on my phone a reminder, Paris times poetry. And it was me trying to manifest, like, what if I do get that opportunity?
Of course,
And so I submitted it. I got a response back June 19th, I want to say, that I was a finalist.
You were a finalist.
And I was like, I was screaming of joy. But mind you, there was 48 like finalists. So I was like, okay, I'm still competing against the best of the best in LA. And I was reading through the list of finalists and they were people I looked up to.
Oh, wow.
Like they were, you know, just people that I go to their shows to see them perform, to see how I can be better. So I was like, how am I going to win against them? But you had to submit 1 poem.
Okay.
That had to do with art and sports. And I created the poem. It took me, I think, a week to do it. I was like, hopefully it's good. And my mom went with me to record it at my job because at my job we have like the California flag, the United States of America flag. We have a podium that says City of LA. I wanted it to be professional as I could possibly make it. And I recorded the poem, submitted it, and then mid-July or late July, I got a call from a number that I was like, I think I recognize this number. And it's because I looked up the number of the Department of Cultural Affairs.
My God.
Just in case they called me. But I didn't answer because I don't answer numbers I don't know. And then they left me a voicemail, Ben Espinoza. And then I got an email saying, hello, I have good news for you. I just called you. Please give me like a call back. And I was like, this could either mean I got in or I'm at least in the LA show. And I called him back and he was like, you're going to Paris with 7 other poets. And I think I had to like step away from the phone and like scream like in the mirror. I was like, I was just so excited that I had this opportunity to go to Paris because never in a million years would I have thought that I would go to Paris at this age. I always had a hope, maybe in the future, but at this age, no. No. And then I did. It was, incredible. I'm still like thinking about that day now, just getting that news.
That's amazing. And the poems you submitted for this, did you publish it?
It's actually so I found out that they're gonna get published, but I'm not 100% sure. It's gonna be published in an anthology. All the 8. They call us the Paris Olympiad Poets.
I love it.
We're gonna get published in an anthology. That's gonna be leading up to the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028. So
lovely.
I didn't publish it directly because I'm under contract with the City of LA and I can't publish it because it's technically under them. Yes.
Okay, that's so amazing.
Yes.
Wow. Actually, like I think anybody aspiring to follow writing or anything of that sort, maybe a book, like I think this entire conversation serves as a purpose for them to genuinely go out there and do it. Because you never know. You don't. And there may come a point where you realize that, wish I could have just done that sooner.
Yes.
There's no point of waiting.
There's no point at all. I think what I want to say, because I've heard that people admire in me, is that they say that I'm, an optimist and a go-getter. I think that, and I genuinely believe you have to, be that as a writer, as I've mentioned. It's just putting yourself out there. If I would have, been fearful and said, I'm not going to apply to this Paris opportunity, I would have missed the opportunity to go to Paris.
Exactly.
And I'm just so glad that I did it because I genuinely thought there's no way I'm going to go to Paris. And then I did. So it's just taking that risk. Taking that risk, just applying to things. And, when you're starting young, showing your work to your teachers. In 3rd grade, I made it clear to all my teachers, to Miss France, and then to my 4th grade teacher, Miss Salcedo and Miss Jimenez, I want to be a writer. And they pushed me to believe in myself. And I think from there, you're already building maybe not a community of writers, but a community of supporters.
Definitely.
And that's what you need as a writer.
That's so commendable.
Yes.
But that's the perfect segue to our little segment called Out With It in 5 Seconds. So I'm going to throw questions at you and whatever comes on the top of your head, answer.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So the first one is going strong. If you were to convert one of your poems into a short film, which one would you pick?
Wood. I think I would do Wood. It's my first poem in the collection. And I think it's just about the journey of being a writer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about you're writing because you want to survive.
Yeah.
So I think a poem about a writer who's writing to survive, even though writing is a practice where it's hard to survive on that job, it would be such a funny,
amazing.
Yeah, right. So I think would definitely be a poem.
I love that. Okay, second one is, what's your comfort food back home?
Oh my gosh, I love pupusas.
Okay.
I love pupusas so much. And it's funny because, my mom's Belizean and my dad, he's half Belizean and half Mexican.
Okay.
And, pupusas is a Salvadorian dish.
I know, yeah.
So but I love it. I love it so much.
Which meat do you like it in?
I love pork and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
Chorizo?
Yeah, exactly.
Chorizo, okay.
They're called revueltas.
Okay.
And it's just so delicious.
Oh
I
my
love
God.
it.
I'm
I
already
love it so
watering.
much.
My mouth is watering.
No, same.
Oh
me
God.
too.
I was in TJ actually last week. Oh my God, the food was so good.
It was
Delicious.
I bet.
I miss
was.
it. I have dreams about the birria.
Oh my gosh. Quesadilla tacos.
Yes.
They were so
good.
Quesadilla tacos are so good.
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming to the third one. If you were to pick an alternative career path, what would you be?
I want to, and I possibly still could do this, but I want to manage my own amusement park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Amusement
I know.
park.
It's
Totally
I love
different.
Okay. There's this show that I watch called The Good Place, and it's basically the characters, they passed away and they're in the afterlife. And I'm not going to spoil the show, but they're in the afterlife that, it's the good place because, it has different menus of yogurts and stuff. All you can eat shrimp, a shrimp dispenser type of thing, soda. And I was like, I want to create a theme park, amusement park that is on the good place. So I think it would be called The Good Place.
Lovely.
And maybe I'd get more money than, Walt Disney, and Six Flags and
if you pitch this idea to The Good Place producers, you might get it.
That's what I'm saying.
You could design it.
That's right.
So
I want to. I created I have a presentation.
Oh, you do?
I do. You do? I do. I'm
Okay.
so serious about this. But I think it's definitely alternative.
Okay.
Because it's so much money.
There's
so much to think about in creating an amusement park.
Yeah.
But I genuinely think if I pitched it, I think people would want to do it.
People would want to do it.
I think so.
I consulted the Ocean Park in Hong Kong for one of the projects I had in class when I was studying in Hong Kong. And that was really fun because I really got to know how an amusement park works and how much work that goes into it.
Oh my gosh.
But then I also decided I would never open one myself.
Oh,
because they're in losses.
See, that's what I'm saying.
That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying.
It's really tough to make money out of it.
I think maybe I just love struggling jobs.
Talking to me as a podcaster, yes. No. Struggling. Real.
It's okay. Struggling jobs that we love.
Exactly. We love it. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah,
of course.
Exactly.
The last one I have for you is, if you were to describe love in one sentence to a child, how would you explain it?
I would say the feeling that you get. No. The moment that you smile is love. That's how I would explain it to a child. Because, obviously children, they don't necessarily know what love is, but they know when their mom or their dad or a grandma comes into the door and they smile. They feel love. Yeah. When they're cooking cookies, with their abuelo, they feel love.
Yeah.
And they smile. I think smiling and love, they're so interconnected. So I think I would explain it to a child. The moment that you smile, you're feeling love.
Yeah, that's true. Because I think the older we grow, it becomes more complex.
Yes.
And I don't think there's a definition to explain it fully.
There's not.
There
really isn't. And I think, and I hope everyone knows that the book is not trying to explain what love is.
It's not.
Because there's so many different forms of love. And towards the end of the book, I think you'll even see that I'm still exploring what love is, because it's a continual exploration.
True.
Love is a continual exploration because love is yourself, and you're always learning more about yourself.
Of course.
So love and self is so connected.
Yeah,
it's
I
so
completely
connected.
agree. That's amazing. And before I let you go, I want you to think of a catchphrase that has defined your journey so far, and write it down and sign it, because we're going to have a digital installation soon, and I want everyone's quotes of life to be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's so long.
No worries. Take your time.
Okay. So it says, to write poetry is to love with many words. To receive a poem is to accept that the love written in those words is yours. Poetry is yours to keep.
I love it.
Yeah, it's...
I love it.
I
And
think,
can you
like...
sign it?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Okay.
Lovely. Thank you so
Of
much.
course.
Oh my God, that literally sums up poetry for me.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's a gift. It's a
Thank you.
gift, and life is a gift.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Especially thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, thank you for having me.
I'm so glad, because I really wanted to do my first podcast with a poet, and I'm so glad that this is done, because we just started our artists entire series, and yeah, we did an actor, we did a musician, we haven't done an author or a writer yet.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
this is the perfect
one. I'm
Yeah.
so happy. No, you know how I'm like, oh, writing is a starving, podcast is a starving job. I've always wanted to be like on a podcast.
Oh,
Like this is my dream.
really?
This is me living out my dream right now.
Oh my God, I'm so happy.
Me living it out. I'm watching this show on Netflix called Nobody Wants This.
I know. Oh my God, I love it. I love that so much.
I'm like, so I was watching it, I think a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
And of course I was like, you invited me to the podcast. So this is me. I'm like sitting at the edge of my seat. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be me.
It's going to be you soon.
No, yes.
Oh God, this has like suddenly become a whole trend, podcasting.
Yes.
And hopping on it.
Hopping on it.
Yes.
Genuinely. I always said that I wanted to create like my own podcast. And, it would just be like funny, like just nitbit stuff,
Yes,
and just like things about like life and just bringing anyone on to it and stuff like that. But the podcast that you've like created right now, I think it's amazing. Like getting just like audiences to get in touch to like people who have different like journeys and career paths that are connected in a way.
Yeah.
Like you have the artist segment and just it's a lot of insight that they're gaining. This is my dream, and You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you so,
really
so much.
are.
Thank you.
Yes.
Means a lot.
Out with it. Out with it. By Kea.